And so if we talk about community-powered courses, I really think that this is the future for online courses and for coaching, because again, in the last few years, courses have done really well, but they've started to go on the decline. And I think a lot of us have purchased online courses. We haven't finished them. Maybe we purchased them and we never even really started them because they felt like a great idea and, oh, I can learn how to do X, Y, Z. Maybe one day that'll help me and I'll do it. And what we've realized is a lot of them are really big, lots and lots of information, lots of content, but we are so overwhelmed with content these days. There's so much free content everywhere on YouTube and Google, and you can find anything about anything. And so the problem is actually not that we need more content, right? The problem is that we need to implement it. We need to take action.
Jordan, you're very welcome to the ScaleX Insider podcast. I'm absolutely delighted and thrilled to have you on the show today.
Oh, Brendan, thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Look, we've been chatting off air. Our vision is to inspire, connect, and enable millions of ambitious leaders of small and medium-sized enterprises to scale with purpose. So, Jordan, what does scaling with purpose mean to you?
Yeah, scaling with purpose to me means having a clear vision for your life, having your values well-defined, your priorities, and then building a business around that, a business that serves you, fits your lifestyle, and really just helps you become the best version of yourself. And you develop something that you never want to escape from.
Yeah, I love that. The business ultimately becomes a bigger expression of you. And I think we can lose that often when we're scaling businesses and lose sight of the reason why we built this business in the first instance and the values that it was anchored in. So I love that. Look, staying on the theme of purpose, what is your purpose and what is it about your story that makes your own purpose important to you?
Yeah, so my purpose is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs maximize their impact through communities. And it's really because I believe that online communities are the best vehicle that we have for maximizing leverage and freedom, both in the members' lives and also in the creator's life. And I really resonate with that because, growing up in a town in the Midwest of the US, to great working class, middle class parents, I had to really seek out a lot of mentors and leaders and people in my life that I emulated. I didn't just want to follow the conventional path that was laid out in front of me. And so when I found really inspiring people, whether they were local or they were on the other side of the world, I would do whatever it would take to learn from them, whether that was buy their course or try to get a coaching call or a consulting call. And so I really found that going straight to the source and learning from people whose lives I wanted to emulate was so powerful and so impactful. And that has really evolved into these online communities where someone can have such a huge impact in the lives of hundreds to thousands of people and have that amazingly close proximity that otherwise would be almost impossible to get.
Heart-centered entrepreneurs, who do you admire? Who do you put in that bracket?
Like with entrepreneurship, there's a drive to make money. There's a drive to create value, right? And so when we look online, we see a lot of different offers out there. We see the get rich quick schemes, the trends of the day. And that's really not what I'm focused on. When I say heart-centered entrepreneurs, I'm thinking of the coaches out there. I'm thinking of the thought leaders, the experts who have developed so much wisdom and so much expertise, and they want to pass that on to the next generation of people. And so it's really not just about selling a quick product or selling something that is going to be passive income where they can just sit back on the beach and relax, but they actually want to see lives be changed, and they want to see transformations happening in the lives of their clients and the lives of their customers. And so we know that there are different vehicles that have different likelihoods of success. And so, for example, reading a book, right? Books are a great mechanism for distributing knowledge and information, but they're not always the best vehicle for delivering change, delivering success, right? Because it's really hard just to read a book all by yourself in your room and assimilate everything that you've learned. Whereas you have things like one-on-one coaching that might have a much higher rate of success and rate of change, but it's not very scalable. And so what really gets me fired up is seeing this new model of these online transformational communities and saying, I can work with any expert, any person who really has a desire and a heart to see their clients succeed and put them into that framework. And now they have the leverage to be able to work with so many more people and really support that group of people. And so that's not for everyone. Not every entrepreneur wants to support that many people and to be that close and that intimate with their clients. But for the ones that do really get fired up by that, that's the people that I love to serve.
Community. It just seems to be the marketing buzzword of the day. Everywhere we look, we see this word, we hear this word community. And I'm not sure if anyone has defined it in the context of entrepreneurialism. How do you define it? Because, at the moment we've got clients, we've customers, we've stakeholders, we've team members. Now we've got kind of community members. So what is a community, and what are community members in the context of entrepreneurialism?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's very misunderstood right now. It's overly used. It's a huge buzzword. You're totally spot on. And so, community is not something that we've recently invented. It's something that's been around since the beginning of time, right? We've all gotten into groups and tribes and clubs and teams and friends and all of that, inner circles. And so we know the power of that. Humans thrive in community. We actually wither and die in isolation. We're just not meant to be disconnected and isolated from everyone. So we're social creatures that thrive with other people. And lately, just in the last few years, we've developed some incredible tools and new paradigm shifts for doing that online and doing that really, really well. And so that has started with things like Facebook groups and some of the early social networks. But those social media networks are great for attracting attention and for distributing information, but not as much for going deep and creating deeper connections and seeing people's lives be changed and transformed. And so when I think of community these days, it is a private, dedicated space online using specific tools, specific software, not just piggybacking off of social media or Slack or Facebook, but actually having a dedicated space in place that is designed to help you achieve a specific goal. And so when I'm working with my clients, we get really, really clear on why does this community exist? Because no one just wants to come hang out in another online space, right? We're all too busy. We've all got too many notifications, too much stuff. And so if you create a very clear and compelling reason for why you should join this community and who it's for, it can become a very powerful refuge from the rest of the internet, from the rest of the noise, where you can come here and be around other like-minded people who have the same desire and goals and values that you have. And we're all on a mission together to achieve that outcome.
It really got my attention whenever I saw Alex Hermosi. Everyone listening will know who Alex Hermosi is, the founder and creator of acquisition.com. Of course, came to notoriety after he founded and sold Gym Launch. And you always see Alex on brand in the context of his acquisition.com business. He's always wearing the acquisition.com. And I was watching a video, an interview that he did quite some time back, and he was wearing this hat with school across the top of the hat. I said, what is this school? He's off brand. This was really, really odd. And I did some Google searching, and as it turned out, I was speaking with a podcast friend of mine the following week who is now working for school. He goes to Las Vegas. He's based in Northern Ireland, goes to Las Vegas a couple of times a month and is supporting the guys with their scaling ambition. What I understand about school is this place for creators to bring online what they do and create communities around their value offering. But I get a sense that it's maybe being missold in some way, that everyone can jump online now and create an online community. So there surely has to be an offering here. So I see these online platforms as an enabler to reach a wider audience, but there has to be value. There has to be an offering. You have to be solving a problem, servicing a need in the first instance. What's your thoughts on that? Because I feel it's being mass marketed and maybe mismarketed in some instances, where there's this thought that everyone can build an online community.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. The community itself by itself is not the offer, right? And I think it is being sold as it's the offer. It's the new thing that will make you 10K a month or whatever the special marketing message of the day is. And so many people, and this has been the trend we've seen on the internet for a really long time, whether it's been drop shipping or affiliate marketing or SEO sites or all of that stuff. I feel that community now is the get rich quick scheme of the day in some ways. Maybe it doesn't feel that way, not as maybe slimy or yeah, hacky as before, but it is still missing something. Because when I've seen those messages, I've seen those ads where it'll say, you know, sign up for school and make 10K a month. And I've actually gone into the community, the school community, and I've seen people literally say, okay, I signed up for school. Now how do I make 10K a month? And so they're missing something there, right? They're missing the essence of entrepreneurship, which is solving a problem, right? And creating value for another person. And just by signing up for any tool or app, it doesn't fulfill that, right? You have to have some other value that you are delivering through the community. So I don't see the community as the offer or as the value itself. I see it as the vehicle. And so I see it as a much better vehicle than what we've had before, whether that be books or self-paced online courses or Zoom calls. The community is a new vehicle for delivering that value.
That makes complete sense. For us, take as an example, we have our book. You can buy it for £15. We have our 12 months in-person ScaleX Accelerator program, which is 5 figures. But we do not have an in-between offering. The podcast is a way of me giving back, serving a community which I haven't kind of defined as such, but serving our audience of aspiring leaders of small and medium-sized enterprises with value of sort, by bringing on wonderful people like yourself who can serve our community with value. But we don't have this other kind of in-between space between the book, between the in-person workshops, to really reach a global audience that allows us to deliver value somewhere between the book and the in-person experience. And I feel that what you guys are specializing in helps to bridge that challenge. So let's dive into this then, Jordan. What are the fundamentals of actually building a successful online community? Let's get right down to the basics here. How do we start?
Yeah. So what I realized is everyone is asking that question, and community is in many ways being overused and misinterpreted. So I took it a step deeper and I said, there's actually not just one type of community or one business model that community encompasses. There's actually four. And so by getting really, really clear on what are we trying to build and what are we trying to achieve, we will know which path is right for us. And there's a lot of pros and cons to the four different types of community models. So I think the very first step is getting clear on What is the offer? What is the outcome or transformation that I'm trying to create? And how do I want this community to fit into my life and into my business? Is this a full-time thing that I am all in on and I have a team and a staff and this is what we do? Or is this actually kind of a side hustle thing that maybe augments some other service or offering in my portfolio? And I'm looking at it as a way to not take up too much of my time and maybe just add a little bit of revenue. So that is the first major step, is actually getting that clarity. So I can break down the 4 types if you want, and then we can kind of
Let
discuss them from
let's
there.
do it.
Yeah, okay. So the first thing you want to think about is there's 2 major value drivers within community. And so there's connection and curriculum. And some communities only have one, some have a mix of both, some are really heavy on one side or the other. So is your community largely generating value from connection, the members themselves, the conversations, the brain trust, the support? Or is it coming more from a program that you're teaching, a roadmap, a curriculum? You're helping them achieve a specific outcome, and they're looking to you to guide them and lead them. And if there's not a whole lot of members or not a whole lot of other, interaction there, that's still okay because you're helping them achieve a purpose and an outcome in their life. So that's the first thing you want to think about. The second thing is this a low ticket offering or a high ticket offering, right? And that's going to determine a lot of things. That's going to determine how do you market it, um, how many members, customers do you need, how many followers or subscribers do you need to start with, and then how are you going to deliver or fulfill on that promise? And so, for example, if you have a low ticket connection based community, I call that a peer community. And a great example of that is Exit 5 from Dave Gerhardt. So, if you're not familiar with Dave, he's a B2B marketer, he's a CMO. He came up in the tech startup game and was CMO of a couple really hot startups. And he just started posting a lot on LinkedIn and growing a following over 10 years of his journey of what it's like to lead some significant tech companies as a CMO. And through that journey, a lot of people started following him and saying, I want to learn from you and your thought process and the decisions you're making. And so he did what a lot of creators do, started a podcast, started a Patreon, started a newsletter, and he really built this community. But it was still this kind of vague, fuzzy idea of community, right? The online social media version of community. And he knew that he could add even more value to this group of people if it had the right container, if it had the right offer, the right vehicle. And so started out very vague and fuzzy, like, hey, you can just contribute a few dollars a month as a fan, and I'll create a bit more extra content for you, some private content. But from there, he knew that if he were to bring together all of these marketers who were following him and allow them to go deeper with each other, connect deeper with each other, have more engagement, that it would generate a lot more value. And so that evolved into a Facebook group. And then eventually he reached out to me and said, hey, could we put this into a dedicated community platform like Circle? And would that allow us to do even more things? And so we worked together, and the response from his members was not, frustration and, oh, we have to move platforms. Once they got into the new community, they said, wow, this is actually 10 times better than what it was before, because we've unlocked more value. So now there's things like private job boards in there. There's ways to get anonymous feedback. There's ways to get feedback from other members on marketing things that you're working on. There's all these other features. Plus, he's facilitating live events and expert discussions and workshops and all of this other kinds of stuff. And so it's a much more rich environment than what you get on social media. And the key thing for him was, he said, I don't want this to be the Dave Gerhardt show. I don't want everyone just to be showing up to listen to me, right? Like, yes, I have some experience, but I certainly don't know everything. There are some incredible people in this group. And so the purpose here is for us to serve each other. Iron sharpens iron, and let's all share what we're working on a daily basis, because we're all doing cutting edge things in AI and advertising and all of this stuff. And so we can learn from each other. So that was the purpose of the group. And he's got, over 3,000 people in there that are very, very happy with it.
So that is the peer community,
Yes.
low ticket,
Yes. Connection based largely.
connection based. You said a word here which I think is critical in all of this, because I think of ourselves. We've got the podcast and podcast listeners. There'll be listeners on podcast mediums like Apple iTunes, for example. Then we have a YouTube channel and subscriber base there. We've got a newsletter. We've got, some people who subscribe to that. We'll have people who follow us on LinkedIn. So we've got these disparate followers, let's say, those who are interested in what we're doing. But right now, we do not have a container. And I think that's absolutely key. So whilst you mentioned connection and curriculum being kind of the key value drivers there, the container for me is absolutely key. There's 3,000 people now that Dave has visibility of. What I'm curious to understand, we're maybe getting very deep here, but how does he serve 3,000 members in there where they get a piece of him and actually connect with one another? Like 3,000 is a small stadium. How do you encourage this connection? What's happening in these online spaces that actually is so clever that it matches people? Somebody who has a need, others who have a solution, and it brings them together. How is that done?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it really starts with the expectation setting of what is this community all about? What are you getting from this? So it's very different to say, everyone gets to get in line and ask Dave one question a week or a month, right? Like that's one set of expectations. And that's certainly not what he wanted. And so what he wanted was for these, ambitious marketing professionals to have a place to go to just nerd out with each other, just share what they're working on, to give each other feedback, because they may be the only marketer at their company if they're at a small company, or there's only one CMO per company. And so if you're the CMO, you've got a lot of direct reports. You can't always get the type of feedback or connection that you might need from those direct reports if you're struggling with CMO level questions or problems. Like I saw a great post in his community that someone decided to post anonymously because they said, hey, I've been the CMO here for 7 years and I'm starting to have a falling out with my CEO and I don't know what to do. So I'm looking for help and feedback, guys. Do I stick it out and try to repair the relationship and get through to the other side? Or do I say, hey, I've done what I wanted to do here and maybe it's time to move on? And so he got to have incredible feedback from other CMOs who have, some of them, gone through the exact same scenario and likely know each other because it becomes a small world at the top. And like, where else are you going to go to share that kind of thing and get that high quality feedback? So I think it's an incredibly valuable resource for people.
Yeah, I love that. And LinkedIn is too visible to ask that kind of question. So, come back to the container again. Dave can choose who he lets in to the community.
Mm.
And our community members called out for their contribution in an environment like that where you have people who are constantly giving. That's the danger, that you have the kind of the takers who are always dipping in there and taking stuff and not giving anything, and you have those who are always giving. How is that moderated?
Mm. Yeah, that's one of the things that we encourage from a culture standpoint and from an engagement standpoint, is to recognize those givers and recognize them publicly. And there's things that we can do. And so on a monthly basis, one strategy that we use sometimes with our clients is to grab the top contributors and make a post to specifically call them out, thank them, recognize them, maybe link to some of their great posts or comments that they've left, and even give them a badge. And that badge on their profile, that little star that says top contributor, it may sound trivial or funny, right? But people really derive a lot of value and satisfaction from that because now they stand out from the crowd. And so now this community of 3,000 ambitious marketers, now there's 10 or 20 or 50 who stand out from those 3,000 as the top contributors of this entire community. And so one of the features inside of that community a lot of times is finding new jobs, finding new talent. And that might be a great way to say, oh, let me go look at these top contributors because, wow, they're constantly adding so much value. They have great insight, they have great experience. Maybe I want to send one of those a direct message and see if they'd be, interested in coming to work with us. So there's a lot of different ways that you can encourage that type of behavior, but it's definitely a natural thing that happens online, is that there's a small minority of people who create and who provide the value and who give, and then a lot more, they lurk and they take. And that is okay to an extent, but we want to make sure that the people who are giving, feel that it's serving and it's being noticed and recognized.
Before we move on to the second type, from a business model perspective, low ticket. So, what are we talking about here? $10 a month, $20 a month per subscriber. What does that look like, Jordan?
Yeah. So from a monthly billing perspective, I would say anything under $100 a month is considered low ticket. And we can get into this later, but a lot of times with our communities, we do not even recommend monthly billing. We really recommend either annual or a one time or some type of larger fee that is in alignment with the value that they're going to get with the outcome. And so the outcome many times is not achieved on a monthly basis. It's achieved after 6 months or 12 months. And so those types of programs may be in the multiple thousands of dollars on the high ticket end.
How do we do this if we're testing it for the first time? We really don't know the the true benefit of bringing a community online. So take our own situation. We
Mhm.
now know, given the scores of leaders who have gone through our 1 year ScaleX Accelerator program, we know the outcomes.
Mhm.
We can communicate that with a degree of certainty because we've got the evidence now. We're bringing a community online. We don't have the evidence of the outcome of being part of this community. How do we address the pricing challenge initially?
Yeah, pricing is definitely an art and a science. There's no exact method or formula for coming up with that right price. In many ways, it's a perceived value question, right? So, what would the value look like for people who have gone through your accelerator to get to stay connected with those alumni for another year? And so, you could imagine that could be worth at least $1,000 to get to be in a private container that is safe and it's moderated, it's high quality, it's curated. But then, if you were to add on additional features, you say, we're going to continue to provide coaching twice a month. We're going to, create whatever other types of things might amplify the work that you've laid in the accelerator program, then you could justify increasing that price even more.
Okay. So this is quite significant. If Dave's charging $100 a month to his 3,000 subscriber base, we're talking a significant business here, three hundred
Yeah.
thousand dollars a month, and very quickly, you've got a three, four, $5 million business. What did he have initially in terms of encouraging 3,000 people into his community? Did he have a following of 30,000, 300,000? What did that look like?
Yeah. So these things grow very organically over time. And that's why they are really not a get rich quick scheme. Um, you're not seeing these mega launches typically the way you would see in the old affiliate marketing world and that kind of thing. Dave started by just giving, just creating, just posting online and developing a following. So he developed that trust and he developed that expertise in the industry where people recognized him. They knew that he provided a lot of value. And so then the offer of come hang out in this private community for $10 a month, and that became $20 a month, and then $30 a month. It it was a no-brainer for people. It's not that expensive. They know he's a good guy. So he didn't start with 1,000 members overnight, right? It was the first 10, then the first 50, then the first 100. And that's really been his journey. And so I like to talk about this metaphor of communities are much more like building a garden where we are going to outline this plot of land, this container. And when we start, the container is empty, right? We're not starting the way you would when you launch a book and essentially it's done on day one and you probably are never going to change it. The community is almost blank on day one, empty on day one. And so you're bringing new members in, you're adding new content as you maybe record things or you do lives. And then you're adding resources over time. So one of the things actually inside of Dave's is this swipe file area. And so for marketers, having an area that you can go to that has dozens and dozens of proven headlines and landing pages and ad creative, and you go, oh, that's a good idea. I'll take this one. I'll take this one. And boom, I've come up with an amazing idea in 30 minutes. That's incredibly valuable as a resource to help you do your job better. And so it's not just one thing or one reason that you're joining his community or that you're getting value, but it's all of these pieces combined that for some people, some of those areas are going to be extremely valuable. And then for other people, they're not even really going to use them. But that's how he's able to create that wide net and that big garden that just organically grows and grows over time. So he continues to plant different things, different ideas, different events and features and water it. But it's something that you really do have to nurture and you have to prune in order for it to stay healthy and grow.
Very good. The second type then of community.
Yeah. So the second type would be over on the curriculum side. And so curriculum is really about what is that transformation? What is the end goal or the outcome of joining this community? So in a lot of ways, this was done through and still is through courses and through coaching. And so these two types of communities on the curriculum side are community-powered courses and transformational communities. So the community-powered courses is more on the low ticket side, and the transformational community is on the high ticket side. And the difference is really just how much support and coaching and one-on-one attention are you getting. So the higher ticket you go, you're getting a lot more of that. And the lower ticket, you're getting a bit less. And so if we talk about community-powered courses, I really think that this is the future for online courses and for coaching, because again, in the last few years, courses have done really well, but they've started to go on the decline. And I think a lot of us have purchased online courses. We haven't finished them. Maybe we purchased them and we never even really started them because they felt like a great idea. And, oh, I can learn how to do X, Y, Z. Maybe one day that'll help me and I'll do it. And what we've realized is a lot of them are really big, lots and lots of information, lots of content, but we are so overwhelmed with content these days. There's so much free content everywhere on YouTube and Google, and you can find anything about anything. And so the problem is actually not that we need more content, right? The problem is that we need to implement it. We need to take action. And so that's again where I think this beautiful container of the community powered course is so powerful and effective, because we know that statistically self-paced courses only have about a 3% completion rate. So think how sad and devastating that is if you as the course creator have poured out your heart and soul to build this course to help people do X, and all these people have signed up and you know that almost none of them are finishing it and completing it, right? It's heartbreaking. Whereas inside of a community, you actually get to see them, their name, their face. You get to hear them. They get to ask questions. You show up on a weekly call and say, how's it going? Where are you getting stuck? What's confusing? And you're hearing them repeat back to you saying, hey, I was watching your video about this and I'm not sure what to do. And so you as the creator, you're getting so much more feedback. And that feedback allows you to improve the course, to create iterations, updates, but also one of the things that people crave is just that live interaction, that live feedback where I'm listening to your specific problem, your specific question, and I can give you very contextual advice about what you should do. And instead of, a lot of times courses can be quite high level and theoretical where it needs to apply to everyone. But inside that community, I get to hear your individual scenario and situation, and I can give you very high quality advice in a very short period of time.
Who's doing this really well, Jordan?
I would say there's a couple people doing it well. So one would be Justin Welsh. So Justin has created courses for many years and developed a really large following on social media, and recently launched a new masterclass course called the Creator MBA, which really covers all the things that you need to do to be a successful online creator. And we launched a community component alongside of it so that people who are going through the course can interact with each other. They can share updates, they can ask questions, and Justin will show up to do these incredible Q&A sessions where people submit these questions ahead of time. He's able to prepare really detailed responses and show examples and different recommendations for people's situations on what they should do. And so not only are they learning from him with this timeless information around marketing and sales and product and offering, but then they're getting his real-time advice about what's working right now and how they should apply it. And he wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to consume too much of his time. So he's put really nice guardrails around what that experience is like. And he spends anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to an hour a day in the community. So he's told me that it takes him about 3 to 5 hours a week, which is not too much at all, to provide massive value. And now these people feel that they have a lot of close proximity and access to him, where they know that they're actually going to be supported, that he's invested in their success and wants to see them succeed, not just wants to sell more and more courses and see an analytics dashboard go up. But these are real people whose lives are being changed and transformed. So that's really, really powerful. The other example I would say would be an example of a transformational community. And so these are typically much higher ticket, $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, would be Sarah Turner. And her program is called Write Your Way to Freedom. And the goal of Write Your Way to Freedom is to help people leave their 9 to 5 jobs and become independent full-time copywriters. And so she's really teaching two massive skills, which is copywriting or marketing, right? And business, right? How do you become an independent entrepreneur, a freelancer, a consultant? So these are massive transformations that take really months and months, but she's taking people through a journey. And so if you can truly leave a job that you don't like and have full control of your time, your income, right? That freedom, how much is that worth? It's incredible. So she's charging somewhere around $6,000 or so for a year's access to that program. And it comes complete with multiple coaches who are running multiple sessions every single week. You get access to her through Q&As. She's got over 4,000 members, and it is one of the highest engaging, most supportive, positive environments that I've ever seen. It's incredible. People are celebrating their wins. They are sharing their fears and their frustrations and their doubts, and people are coming in and saying, you can do this, keep going, here's what you need to do next. And people are achieving life-changing breakthroughs.
That's phenomenal. And do you feel that's set by Sarah because she's essentially created this culture, this virtual culture within that container? Or is there something about this copywriting industry that just attracts wonderful people who like to champion and cheerlead one another?
Yeah, I would say it's largely due to Sarah. Absolutely. So there's this question I've seen come up around, can I just create a community without my face, without my name, right? Just about copywriting and just bring together people that are interested in copywriting. Maybe it's possible, but I haven't personally experienced it or seen it. When I say, I love helping heart-centered entrepreneurs, it's really about that founder, that expert, that entrepreneur, and amplifying their ambition, their mission, their values, their culture into this community product. So Sarah is an incredible human being. She herself has gone through that arc of having that job that she didn't really like, becoming a copywriter, finding freedom, traveling the world, making 6 figures, 7 figures. And people said, how do you do that? Like, can you teach me? Can you show me? And so she literally just started out one by one, just working with people a couple at a time individually, and then had a group, and then a course, and then the community. And so again, it's a slow evolution. It's not going to happen overnight, but the people that she has attracted have those same types of values, those same types of goals. So her community, I would say, is largely a female-based community, and a lot of them are starting families, and that's also why they want that freedom and that control and the ability to be more flexible in their working hours and be able to work as much or as little as they want. So some people are using it simply as a way to create some side income. Others are growing and they're hiring and they're even building agencies and companies out of it. But a lot of it comes back to the initial values that Sarah herself lives out and instills in terms of positivity and abundance mindset and helping each other. And so you see that getting carried on by the other members. It's really incredible.
It's wonderful that actually her values and the culture that she clearly creates within her own business is actually being expressed within that community that's containerized within the platform that she's using. Something that I'm thinking about in her own situation here, our vision is to inspire, connect, and enable millions of ambitious leaders of SMEs to scale with purpose. It was the question that I posed to you right at the outset. The challenge that I have is that the 12-month ScaleX Accelerator program is an in-person program. There are elements of it that are incredibly immersive, and they require that we certainly feel that physical interaction. There are certain elements, I'll not disclose some of the kind of the secret sauce of what we do, but there are certain elements when it comes to supporting business leaders to craft their vision, for example, rather than just typing out their vision on PowerPoint. We create this experience which creates this emotional connection to their vision. And that's really, really powerful. And I feel that can only happen in person. There are other elements in terms of developing practices to actually build their psyche. I'm a Wim Hof method instructor, so we actually encourage cold water immersion, and we take people to those cold water experiences. We practice the breath work in person. So my fear, and maybe this is a kind of a limiting belief here in the context of kind of stepping into this, is lightening in some way what we offer in person that dilutes the impact that ultimately then doesn't deliver the experience that we want to deliver. What's your experience of that, Jordan? Do you find that that's a normal fear for a lot of people, a lot of coaches, group coaches who hold in-person workshops to actually step into this online world? Because one part, in order to achieve our vision, the reason why we wrote the book is because we could reach millions. The reason why we have the podcast is informed by the vision, because we can reach millions. This seems to be the next natural evolution of what we do. But I have that kind of reticence to dilute what we do in person.
Yeah, I think there's trade-offs for both approaches. So I agree with you that nothing replaces in person, right? Face to face, human connection, looking each other in the eye, touch, all of that stuff is the best in person. It's the most powerful experience. Now, the trade-off is it's the most difficult, right? You're limited by your geography, right? By the people, how far can people travel? How many times are you going to meet up? The scheduling, all of that. So your impact is going to be restricted. So your book is reaching millions, the podcast is reaching millions all over the world, but your in-person accelerator is going to be
We just lost Jordan, Rob.
We have, Benny, yeah.
Oh
I was
no.
having problems with my connection and I thought that was me earlier, but no, I've still got you, Benny, crystal clear. So
This happened with this happened with Jamie last week as
I
well.
know.
That's
Hopefully he'll reconnect.
Sorry about that. Are we okay? Did we ruin it?
we're good. We'll be this has never happened before, right? We're approaching 200 episodes, and it happened last week when we were recording with Jamie Waller. That's happened with you,
Oh,
Jordan. What, are you okay? What happened at
sorry.
your end?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Mexico internet, I guess. I don't
Well, look,
know.
good to see you back. Great. Look, you were in full flow there.
Yeah, I know.
Let can we go back to the start of that?
Let's get back into it. Yeah. Can you maybe just hit me with the final question again?
Oh, we were speaking about my reticence
Yes.
to move our in-person experience online, and you were in full flow. It was wonderful.
Okay. Let's see here. How do I want to start this?
So you had mentioned that you will never outdo the in-person experience, you know that, and you were leading on to there, but ultimately, we were speaking about scaling our impact, and ultimately, if we want to reach millions, then look, this is the compromise.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, an in-person event and in-person program that I went through in Cincinnati, very powerful event, actually takes place over 12 days, and it's broken up into a few different sections. They face a lot of challenges scaling that because it's really hard to get that many new people from a local area. It's largely kind of a word of mouth sort of thing. And the commitment around time and scheduling is just very, very difficult. So I think there are a lot of pros and cons to both approaches, but I think that there can be a beautiful blend of the two where you have these really impactful in-person sessions, and whether that's at the start of a program or a few times throughout the year. But then the online container can allow you to continue that momentum and all of that energy that gets created in person and allow people just to flow with it after the event, after they go back home and they encounter real life. Because we all know those in-person events, they can just be so positive and magical. And this is the perfect environment. And we've solved all the world's problems. And then we go back home. And then we've got the family and the all the things we've got to be doing again. And it can be really difficult to continue the motivation, the momentum, all the things that we decided we were going to do in that in-person event. And so I think the online container is that beautiful connective tissue where we can continue to stay engaged, we can be supported, we can share updates, we can even see each other face to face again online. And I've had very powerful experiences in online groups, online meetings. So I think there's some things that we can continue to do. You know, you mentioned Wim Hof. We can do breath work together. Maybe we can't get into the cold plunges together online. But I think that looking forward, to me, that's going to be what the best types of events and programs do is they really blend a combination of real world online face to face and online containers together.
So the fourth, we have the peer community with the curriculum focused
Mhm.
online communities. We've the transformational. What's number four?
Yeah, number four is actually back on the connection side, and so it's the high ticket version of the peer community, which I call the proximity community. And many people would consider this a mastermind or a group coaching or something along the lines of that. But essentially, the value is coming from the member to member connection and the connection with the leader themselves. But it's typically a much smaller, more intimate group. We go deeper, we know each other, and we're there to support one another and help each other achieve breakthroughs. So it's usually not a group of 3,000, 4,000 people like some of these other communities. It may literally be 10, 20, 30 people. And A lot of us have been to these types of events, whether it's over a weekend, but being able to do this, for example, I'm a part of one called 7-Figure Leap. And the whole idea is taking entrepreneurs through that journey of going from a 6-figure business into a 7-figure business. And there's a lot of things on that journey that we are going to encounter and that we need help getting through, whether that's mindset work, identity work, actual business operations, strategy, changing our offer, changing our pricing. And so it's a combination of tactical help, strategic help, and that inner work that we need to do as well of, believing we're good enough, we can do it, we deserve it, all of these things. And so these environments are very powerful for achieving transformation and breakthrough as well.
Who's hosting that, the 7-Figure Leap, Jordan?
Yeah, it's a guy named Dustin Riekman. And so to kind of go back to that in-person event, I'm actually flying to Nashville here in a couple of weeks to go to the 7-Figure Leap in-person meetup. And we're going to spend a few days together. And I'm very excited because I've been in this mastermind for 6 or 7 months now. And we meet every week online on Thursdays on Zoom calls, but then we have a dedicated community environment as well. And so in between Zoom, we are sharing updates, we're asking for help, we're asking for feedback. Hey, can you look at this new landing page I'm developing? Is this clear? Is this compelling? Does it match what you know about me? But now we're going to go in person and we're going to go have a really rich, incredible experience for a few days. We're going to go even deeper. So I'm really looking forward to it.
You mentioned high tickets. How high tickets?
Yeah. So this one is $1,000 a month or $10,000 a year.
Okay. So you can choose to opt in on a monthly basis or pay 10 grand a year versus 12 grand if you're paying monthly and get that 2 grand discount. You mentioned at the outset that actually an annual pricing model, subscription model, is more advantageous to the content creator, to the online curator than the monthly option. Why is that?
Yeah, part of it is if you're collecting all the money up front as the creator, then obviously it's better for revenues, cash flows. You're not having to wait 10, 12 months to collect that revenue. But also, you're not having to waste or spend a bunch of your time and energy worrying about things like churn and trying to manage churn and measure churn. And then in your customer's mind, they're not getting that bill every 30 days, asking them and reminding them, are you getting value from this? Are you getting value from this? Do you still want to be a member of this? Because for many programs, you're not going to start seeing too much fruits or value for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And so to be asking that every 30 days is out of alignment. And many times the answer they're going to hear back in their own mind might be, no, I don't think so. I'm not sure if I'm really getting it. I don't know if I should keep going, because they just haven't been in it long enough. And so by aligning that pricing to an annual basis and saying, hey, look, this is the journey we're going on. It's going to take us a while to get there. There are no magic overnight successes or magic bullets that I can give you. So we are committed to going on this journey together, and this is how much it costs. Does that sound like a fair trade to you? And if people say, yep, I would love to achieve that outcome, I recognize it's going to take me a long time to get there, and it's worth it for me to spend this much to get it, then they only have to make that decision one time. It's out of their mind, and now we can just focus on getting to work.
You've mentioned in relation to technology and the platforms, you've mentioned Facebook a few times. This is an evolution from Facebook. I will be very familiar with WhatsApp groups. We're managing a lot of the communications, the informal communications with our own tribe, with our own ScaleX Accelerator program participants through WhatsApp channels, more formally through Teams, for example. You're the circle guy. We spoke at the outset. Alex Hormozy is really, going all in on school. So we have kind of, it seems, circle versus school. Can you share with those who are hearing these platform names for the first time, what is circle what functionality does it have that, for example, WhatsApp or Teams doesn't have? You know, why do we need another platform? And I found that in all of the things that we use, I keep coming back to WhatsApp because it's just so easy. It's just, um, you know, you can get messages out there quickly. It seems to really drive engagement. We've tried Teams. You know, it's not getting the same level of engagement. So, what is it, Jordan, you're seeing about Circle that's that is a blend of all of these, you know, the kind of the formality of Teams and this ability to have and upload video recordings versus kind of the ease of use of WhatsApp. Share with us, with our listeners, what it is about Circle that has really engaged and attracted you to support others in building online communities using this technology.
Yeah, I think it's really important to use the right tool for the right job. And so, again, it goes back to defining, first of all, what are we here to do? What are we trying to accomplish? If you just want to connect people and allow them to talk to each other and chat with each other, then maybe something like WhatsApp is the best solution. If that's all that it is, like, let's put people in a chat group and just let them chat. But a lot of times with the clients that I'm working with and the communities that we are building, we are very much focused on that longer term transformation piece. And so what we have seen is that transformation requires a few different key ingredients. And often it is curriculum. So some type of roadmap. These are the milestones that you're going to need to achieve, the things that you're going to need to learn, the courses, right? Then there's coaching. And so coaching a lot of times is through group Zoom type calls, live streaming calls, getting everyone in the room together at the same time. And then community. And so community is kind of that vague thing we've been talking about, but we've talked about a lot of different examples, from whether that's a feedback space to specifically share work and get detailed feedback on it, or to have a private job board, or to have these different rooms and areas to share celebrations and wins, or to share struggles and requests for help. Having dedicated, clear areas and spaces is really important. And I think that's one of the challenges with something like a WhatsApp, is it's just one big container that everything all goes in there and it gets all mixed and jumbled around. And there's not a whole lot of clear specificity or categorization, or it's just a live stream of whatever goes, whatever anybody wants to talk about or share. And so it's not very structured. And so when you talk about a platform like Circle, it is really an intentionally designed all-in-one platform for communities. And so when you ask, what are the different features or reasons that I like it, I think it's really important. You mentioned ease of use of something like a WhatsApp. And I agree that ease of use is really important. So I like to say that the technology usually will not make your business, but it can often break your business. And so what I mean is, people will sign up for the promise or the offer, but then when they actually get into it, if you say, well, you need to use this app for this and this app for that, and over here's the courses and here's how you contact us, and it's like, are you kidding me? It is so, disorganized, and all these disparate different websites and logins and tools. There's so much friction there that it's unenjoyable to use. And so people just aren't going to use it. So we have to make it easy. We have to make it enjoyable. And one of the keys is we need it to all be in one place. You can't ask them to use 3 or 4 different tools. They're just not going to do it. And so Circle brings everything together in one place. So you can charge people what you want to charge them. You have the paywalls. We have all of the content, the courses, the curriculum, the resources that you might want to share with people, whether it's videos or files or any of that kind of stuff. We have all of the different community areas that you want to create and customize. And I think that's one of the powerful things that I really like about Circle, is that you have the ability to have multiple programs, multiple offers, multiple tiers under one umbrella, under one community. And so you might have that low ticket peer community offering and have your high ticket mastermind all in the same community. And we can really well control access and control what people see and what they have access to and what they don't see and don't have access to. And so I really like that it's just been so purposefully designed. And the last thing I'll say here is that it comes off as a very high polished, high quality experience. And to me, I've had the experience where I've bought a very expensive program and they say, here's the free Facebook group and here's the WhatsApp group. And I go, are you kidding me? I just spent thousands of dollars and you're putting me on a Facebook group? Like, come on, man. Like, you couldn't even spend a little bit of money to, make it a better experience for me. And so that's the thing about Circle is I think you're also communicating like, hey, I actually care a lot about your experience here. And so I've designed this container that it's not going to be overwhelming with notifications from all this different stuff like you'd get on Facebook or if you're on Slack, but it's actually a quiet, calm place where we have intentionally created the best environment possible to get you the results that you've signed up for. So I think those are the ingredients that you really want to be thinking about is what are you communicating and delivering at a conscious level and also at a subconscious level. And so especially if you're in the high ticket world, if you're dealing with people at an intimate level, you want to show them how much care and intentionality and design you've put into your experience.
That makes complete sense. Before we move into the close, what are some of the challenges or pitfalls, Jordan, that you find people make whenever they're actually creating these online communities?
I think a lot of people skip over the offer and they believe that the community is the offer. And they say, well, it's a community for entrepreneurs. So here's how much it costs. And of course, everyone's going to want to sign up. And I go, maybe not. Maybe we should take a few steps back here. What type of entrepreneur? Someone who's just getting started, someone who has sold a company for $100 million. Those are very different types of people. What are we helping them achieve? Are we helping them figure out the basics of marketing? Are we helping them figure out their purpose in life and the next steps in their careers, right? Like we need to get so much more clear. We need clarity. People desire that clarity if they're going to spend money, if they're going to sign up for something. And when we don't have that clarity as creators, I find that's when people just say, how much should I charge? Is $10 a month okay? And it's like, because we're defaulting to this lowest price possible to try to just get people in and then figure it out later. So I say figure it out first, figure it out up front of just the offer of what is the problem that we're going to help people solve. And if you're not sure, talk to people, get them on Zoom calls and really do some discovery and figure out what are they stuck on and then what do they want? What are their goals and dreams and desires? And then if you had a community of people just like that, would that be something that's interesting and compelling for them? And you're going to get that feedback. And so that is a much better way to start than just like throwing out a community for X and trying to get people into it.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I have a visual in my head of kind of herding a thousand entrepreneurs into this big warehouse and closing the doors and saying, "Okay, I've done my bit. Now you get on with
Yeah.
it." It has to be a little bit more than that. This has to be created. It has to be really well thought through. And I suppose what I'm hearing is that once you do build a certain level of momentum and those within the community start to build a level of trust in you as the moderator, the curator, the facilitator, and build trust with each other, that actually the value builds then from the actual community aspect itself. But you have some work to do to actually forge a bond, forge relationships amongst this community in the first instance.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. So the heavy lifting does happen in the early days, in those early stages of getting it off the ground and you really doing the majority of the leading, leading with the culture, leading with the expectations. But then once you forge those relationships and that trust, the most magical parts of the community is when you start seeing other members stepping forward and giving and serving and leading. and encouraging. And I've had times where I check and I see I have a few notifications that people have asked certain questions, and I have a busy day. And then at the end of the day, I go in and check, and somebody else from the community has already jumped in and answered it perfectly for me. And I don't even need to respond. I can just literally say, well said. I would have said the exact same thing. And so that's really where you start to experience the magic and the power of community.
Yeah, brilliant. Is this exclusively for coaches and online course creators? Are there any industries, or are there any businesses out there who are much more traditional, selling,
Mhm.
a traditional product, B2B? Are they doing something or anything innovative in terms of leveraging this technology to kind of containerize and create a community within their following? Have you seen that happening at all?
Yeah, there's definitely some other instances and other strategies as well. For example, agencies, consultants, people who are doing services, doing done for you services. There's a way that you can then start to offer a done with you component. So for people who can't afford for you to do it for them and pay that high ticket price, but they want to learn from you, this is an amazing way to take your expertise, to take all these different templates you've created for yourself and these different frameworks, and just share them with other people to speed up their journey of learning the thing that you know how to do so well. And so that's what we've done in our own business. We really started out primarily doing done for you community builds for other experts and other creators. And then so many people just came to us asking, can you teach us? Can we learn from you? And so we developed these resources and things internally for our own team just to be able to do our jobs better and faster every time. And we knew that by sharing it with other people, it was going to help them so much and speed up their journeys. So we've been able to add a new offering, a new revenue stream to the business. So for anyone who's doing those types of services, if you are interested in being able to teach people how to fish instead of just selling them the fish as well, then you can open up additional opportunities for yourself. And then another type that's quite different would be more of like product companies, software companies, people who have a customer base that would like to be able to interact with them more, to get more feedback from them, to be able to teach and guide them. So a lot of software companies, you have the software, right? Like let's say you buy QuickBooks to do your bookkeeping, but it doesn't actually do it for you, right? You still have to learn, how do I do bookkeeping and accounting? And there's all these strategies. And so the company can then be advising and teaching and guiding their customer base through the community to be more successful at using their software. So I've seen that work really well also.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Very, very powerful. Um, Anywhere where there's a component that you're required to support your customer in becoming successful through the
Yes.
use of your product, then it makes sense to create these forums, these communities, to because a lot of the questions will be the same every time somebody takes something out of the box. So
Mhm.
having a place there for those standard questions, but also users helping one another, and you're going to have different maturity levels in terms of your user base, which is wonderful for people as well. So that makes complete sense. Before we move into the formal close, Jordan, is there anything that we haven't picked up on today that you feel that our listeners who are leading small to medium-sized enterprises with an ambition to scale should know in relation to developing online communities?
I think communities create a lot of new opportunities that you maybe haven't experienced before by bringing customers together. Whereas a lot of times we're serving in a one-to-one capacity, whether it's through email support or on calls or in person or just doing the work with our individual customers. And so people really desire to be surrounded by others and seeing them succeed as well, and seeing how they're applying the same challenges or the same solutions in different ways. So I think community is going to continue to grow and be a bigger part, especially of online businesses. And so for people who are interested in opening up new forms of revenue or new services, new opportunities in their business, I think it can be an incredible way to serve your customers at an even deeper level.
Yeah, I love that. You're a young guy with incredible expertise and wisdom. We were having a conversation before we came on air, and I love the fact that um, you've burned the boats behind you and you have devoted yourself to serving people in the way that you do with your expertise and building out these online communities. On that note, can you share with our audience 3 timeless takeaways?
Yeah, I would love to. I loved this question and just reflecting on this. So the first one is that your business will never surpass your personal level. Actually, let me repeat that one. uh, yeah, I would love to. And the first one is your business will never surpass your current level of personal development. So I'm a huge fan of entrepreneurship, and I've just seen it as this incredible vehicle for developing myself into the best version of myself. And so whatever I am stuck on right now, whatever I'm avoiding or whatever I'm afraid of, whether it's sales or leading people or communication, that is where my business is going to stay stuck today. So it is a great forcing function. I always want to grow. So I look at where am I stuck at today? What are my bottlenecks? What do I need to level up in my life? And then I seek out coaches and mentors to help me do that. The second one would be that entrepreneurship to me is just a game. And I love looking at it this way and thinking of it this way because people can get so stressed out and we play the comparison game and this person's making this much per month and has this many employees. But for me, I look at it as a game. And so when it's a game, I want to make sure I'm having fun and it's enjoyable. And for me, the number one goal of the game is just to never quit playing the game. Right. And so just design it in a way that I never quit, I never lose, I never give up. And in that way, it's just impossible to lose. And then the third one here is a lesson that my lifelong mentor has taught me, which is you will never wake up as someone who you haven't been becoming, right? You will never become someone you haven't been becoming. And I love that because I think a lot of times we believe that the future is just always going to be better and we're going to be different. We're going to have all this stuff and just one day, but it's like disconnected from who we are today and how we're going to get there. And so I really believe in this framework of be, do, and then have. And so that is the order. So we first have to be our future selves. We have to envision that better future version that we aspire to. And then the crazy cool thing is you can just be that person today. And so you just do the things that that person would do. You make those choices, you make those decisions. And then by doing those things, you will have the results and the outcomes that that person has. And so I just think it's an incredible paradigm shift on life. And it means there's no limitations, there's no restrictions. You can literally just create the life that you want.
I told you folks this guy was wise. What incredible wisdom. I'm smiling from ear to ear because it's something that I often say that you'll never scale beyond the framework of your own identity. So it's we say you scale from the inside out, and that sounds a little bit philosophical for people when they're hearing that for the first time, but we define 10 principles of scaling. The very first principle of scaling is psyche. It's the leader's psyche. It either empowers or disempowers your scaling trajectories. So I'm grinning, and as a fan of Joe Dispenza, the number 3 resonates strongly, and just holding then in the context of number 2, holding just that philosophy that it's a game. Don't always play the game. So don't take it too seriously, but understand that there are levels in the game, and really the game is about breaking through each of those levels and enjoying that process and the accomplishment of breaking through to each level. I have absolutely loved this conversation today, Jordan. I want to thank you for your sharing your expertise and so much value with our listeners, bringing such lovely, warm energy to the conversation, and tolerating me, who is completely technology ignorant, to all of this with some really stupid questions. So I appreciate all of that. Look, what's next for you?
Oh, Brendan, thank you so much for having me on. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation and was just honored when you reached out and invited me on the show. So, yeah, I love what you guys are doing. And I'm really glad that this was a beneficial conversation to help people with communities. So, thank you so much. What's next for me is more communities, more leverage, more freedom. I'm just always looking at growing myself, my company, my team, my business, and then sharing that with others so that they can apply and learn and be able to do the same thing. So we're looking at building more communities with our clients, teaching more people our frameworks and our methods so they can apply it to themselves, and then co-creating with others, creating new communities together.
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, Jordan, you will have teased many of our listeners with what you shared today. If people want to connect with you and find out more about building online communities, how best to reach you?
Yeah, I share a lot on social media on just my journey and my lessons and wisdom from building different communities. So you can follow me at Jordan Godbey on Twitter and LinkedIn are my two primary social media channels. And then we've put together a really great resource for people that dives deeper into the four types of communities that we started talking about today. And I call it the Paid Community Blueprint. And so if you'd like to learn more about that, I'll send you, it's a free online email course. And so over 7 days, I'll send you a bunch of different breakdowns on the pros and cons of each type of community and how you might apply it to your business. And so you can find that at my website at growthcommunity.co/blueprint.
Brilliant. Well, look, we'll put a link to that in the show notes. I really love what you're doing, and you do it with such purpose. You're such a warm guy, and I know that you're truly a heart-centered entrepreneur. I wish you every success in everything that you're doing, Jordan. Take care.
Thank you so much.